what do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring us all to feel better, look better, have a better Christmas, better holiday, treat each other better, everything, every damn day of our lives. And our Tuesday night show, brought to you by our friends at Front 43 and Cask & Company, Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. That's just north of Frandor on East Saginaw and Lansing, near the Lansing and East Lansing border. Outstanding place to watch the NFL games, the NFL playoffs, the Lions in the playoffs. Jason, how you doing, man?
Peacock.
What's up, buddy? I just went through one of the worst experiences of my life, and that is Target during the holiday season. I had to pick up a gift for my nephew. I mean, pandemonium. They didn't have enough carts for the customers, and the customers are yelling at the manager. I mean, it was wild. So I was like, get me out of here.
Is it just that many people?
Yes. That many people, no carts. I mean, it's just an avalanche of people out there. Like, I've had enough. Just going to order everything else online.
That sounds like an awful experience.
Very.
I used to wait until December 23rd to do most of my Christmas shopping.
There's still going to be people out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
23rd, wherever you go.
It was just as bad because it was all the last-minute people.
Guys like you and I.
Yeah. I mean, I the worst one I think I ever did was going on Christmas Eve to Meijer with another guy I worked with in Kalamazoo. And you get that thing, that person that comes with a loudspeaker, Meijer will close in 10 minutes. Like, and it used to be before COVID, Meijer closing was one of the more jarring things that could happen to a person. Because when you live in Michigan, you count on the ability to go to Meijer 24/7, 365, other than Christmas. That 36 hours it was closed over Christmas, I hated. It was unnerving. But now it's not even open.
Especially with a snowstorm possibly coming and people are, trying to load up on stuff.
Freak out. Yeah, all sorts of
but it's
fun
worth
stuff.
it. It's for my nephew. I'll do it for him. But anybody else, I'm just like, I'll get you something else. Can't do it.
Yeah, well, if you're looking for a last-minute gift and you do not want to leave the house, you've got until December 21st, which is tomorrow, Wednesday, to order a muskox high-quality flannel, by the way. And as long as you do priority shipping, they will get it to you by Christmas. Also, Front 43 gift cards. Skymint, incredible gift. Incredible gift. I would love
get it for yourself.
I was trying to convince my wife that I was like, this is what I really need. I just need Skymint for myself.
I don't even know if Skymint would have helped me in that Target situation. Because if I had some Skymint in me, I would have just walked out. I would have panicked or something. I don't need that in my life. I don't like being around people. Now that I live out in Ovid for a couple years now, there's nobody out there. I like that.
So there's a little bit going on today. Not a ton, but the Mat Ishbia news was kind of interesting. Yeah. And by the way, we're going to have Nick Baumgardner on a little bit. We're going to talk Detroit Lions. We'll talk little Michigan State and Michigan football as well. And but the Mat Ishbia news, and then we'll pick the games with Harry too. Sorry, I'm doing this very disjointed. I don't know why. I just
in that holiday mode.
Some nights I suck at this, and this is one of those nights. Because my first thought, everybody was asking me what my first thought was, and my first thought was, how does this affect Michigan State's name, image, and likeness deal with United Wholesale Mortgage? And from what I have been told, they're looking into it. I'm sure legal folks are checking everything at Michigan State. They're not too concerned. There are some limitations to what pro teams can do with NIL, and overall, they think this is a good problem to have. But if you're Michigan State and you're getting what you're getting from United Wholesale Mortgage, you do not want that to go away. That's something that probably helps you retain players, helps you recruit players. Even if you're not coming in with giant bags of cash like some of these schools, you don't want to lose the Mat Ishbia fountain that's coming to players in NIL. You just, I mean, that's
What's the rule? Is the rule with the NBA? It can't be with the name, image, and likeness because I didn't think there were any rules yet.
What and other pro teams are doing NIL with athletes. It's just not usually an athlete in that sport. So the question I think would only become, and I think all this is being looked at. My guess is nothing changes because it's still going to be through United Wholesale Mortgage. But I do think that the one that you could look at is men's hoops. Like, does a guy owning an NBA team, is he not allowed to then have another organization fund a men's basketball program through NIL? I don't know.
You know what my first thought was? Is like, wait, Izzo's going to go coach the Suns now, right?
If it was 10 years ago, I would think it would happen at some point. Because one of the things Izzo wanted the last few times there was he looked at it was good ownership that he trusted, good management that he trusted. It's why he liked the situation in Minnesota with Flip Saunders when he was still alive a little bit. And if he was 60, if he was even like 62 instead of 67.
I don't know. I think he could do another 3 years and then maybe move towards the the Phoenix Suns gig.
It's 70 years old?
Yeah.
It works so well for John Beilein.
Cotton Fitzsimmons. I mean, what these old guys back in the day? I mean, it's just coaching.
Just scratch the itch.
I mean, it's not like Izzo has to go to a home or something. I mean, you can sit on a bench and travel with guys.
I don't
in good shape.
I don't see it.
I mean, even though he's eating popcorn off the floor, I mean, still.
I do not see it at 70. I don't. I mean, because all the things that drive Izzo nuts about college basketball would drive him absolutely insane about the pros, even more so in terms of personalities, in terms of maybe you want to have to recruit, but there would be the diva shit and the other stuff that he is a man who coaches in detail on every defensive possession. That doesn't work in the NBA. You can have concepts and all that good stuff, but yeah, I don't. I just don't see it happening at this age. He's got a great recruiting class coming in, so he's got a nice little thing going right now. I don't see him. He wants that second title so badly. So even if, say in 2026, he wanted to go when he's 71, I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't ever be there. I would bet a lot of money against it. I don't think that's really likely to be.
I mean, your life's not over at 70, though.
I feel we'll talk to Harry about it later when we pick the games because Harry's a Phoenix guy.
Yeah.
And he's kind of excited about this. And there's good reason. The other big reason to be excited about this is the most important trait in an owner in a salary cap sport, besides having resources to at least pay some luxury tax and stuff. Youth. Because I would not, like, if I were the what is the commissioner?
Cockburn.
If I was the Cockburn of a pro sports league, I would discourage ownership sales to people over 60. We saw what happened with Mike Ilitch. We saw what happened with Bill Davidson. When an owner dies, there is a period of transition that usually fucks the team. Usually does. And unless you bring in their spouse, their kids, and you have a succession plan that you believe in, I don't want old men owning teams as much as I can avoid it. I know old men are usually the ones who have money.
I love your ideas that have no shot of happening.
I know.
Like when it comes down to $4 billion, like anyone's going to say anything about anything.
You can find an owner in their 40s. That's the ideal.
I mean,
owner.
how about Sarver though? I mean, he just gets $4 billion, walks away. That's unreal. That's $2 million more than any other franchise has sold for.
And it's like 10 times what the Pistons were bought for by Gores like a decade ago.
Yeah,
it's incredible how
that
much it's gone up. Yeah, it's
so. What's the cap? I mean, will it be $10 billion in another 5 years?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the other thing,
not the best product right now.
The NBA?
Yeah.
The NBA is as good as it's ever been.
No.
As good as it's ever been.
Bullshit.
Better than it's ever been.
No. Absolutely not. These guys that are sitting out every other fucking game. I mean, the Lakers last night, who sat every star player sat out. Why would anyone want to go to this fucking game?
But why would you go to a Lakers game?
Damian Lillard passed Clyde Drexler's record or something, and whatever team he was playing, there was like 3 fans in the stands. It's just you can't sit there. You can't really gamble on it. You can't do daily fantasy on it because you never know when these fucking guys are going to play.
Well, that's true. They got some issues there, but you have more competitive teams, more parity than you've had in a long time. And you have more overall talent. The league's just better than it's been in terms of
just
depth.
ISO shit and chucking up shots and threes. Guys that can't shoot threes or shooting.
You sound like an old man who watches the wrong one game a month.
I am a very old man. Yeah. Yes, I understand that, but I'm not going to sit there and say back in my day it was better, like 90s, obviously. You know, with the Knicks and the Heat and 34 to 32 games. I'm not saying that, but when you watch the product, I love the NBA. I want to love the NBA. I'm not trying to shit on it, but when you watch the product, you watch the Pistons and all that, it's just like, all right. I mean, these guys are sitting out. I just feel bad for the people that spend money on tickets and plan this out. Like, there's going to be a kid that gets a ticket to an NBA game on Christmas. And what's going to happen? You don't know whether or not, let's say you wanted to see LeBron, the Lakers come into town, and LeBron doesn't play because he's on a back-to-back. It's just crazy, and it happens all the time. Yeah. Not with just LeBron because he's like 38 years old, but, I mean, all these other guys. Ja Morant has to sit out of the game.
No, I think there are issues there. I mean, if you pay when somebody's coming to town and they're not there, you got to get your money back because it's a stars league.
Yeah.
They're not going to play. You should get your money back. I totally believe that. The other big thing that's happening tomorrow, like if this were a normal year, if this were 5 years ago, today's show would be about Michigan State football signing day. Because in a lot of ways, it's like
Spartan beat.
No, because half our audience that's what our audience care. We just rammed about the NBA, and half our audience is like, oh fuck, when's Baumgardner joining us?
Soon.
Yeah. But what I mean is, nowadays, there's so much uncertainty. Like, this used to be Christmas Eve to a day that you kind of knew what was coming, right? And now it's like Christmas Eve that year, you don't know if your parents are going to give you the gift you really wanted. You don't know if Santa's coming through. You don't know if Santa Rube's going to be there with the Dunkett or the Castle Grayskull or whatever great toy you remember having, the bike Jason got when he was 8.
Yeah. Diamondback.
And, like, I think tomorrow could be wild. It could be uneventful. It will be interesting regardless. And we will certainly get into Michigan State signing day quite a bit on Thursday through the Groovy Donut Twitter questions. We'll also do some Christmas stuff. You can request things, but Jason will tell the Santa Rube story that day.
I love the build-up.
It's
my favorite time to tell stories when someone goes, oh, Jason, you have that great story. Tell that story that's like 5 minutes long.
You didn't promise the story last week.
I know, I'm saying I will do it, but when people do that, I just love it.
Yeah.
Now it's just blown out. Like, people are going to tune in for it.
It's a great story, though. So we'll do that. We'll talk about Michigan State, Oakland, Rocket Watts return, everything going on with the basketball program. So we'll do all that on Thursday. And we'll talk some more Michigan State football, some Michigan football, and some Lions next with Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 and Cask & Company.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com.
Christmas is around the corner and beautiful jewelry is on her Christmas list. So where will you go to buy that gorgeous diamond ring or that sparkly diamond necklace or that incredible diamond bracelet? Medawar Jewelers' 4 locations by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage have the largest selection and the latest designs of beautiful jewelry that she's been dreaming of. If an engagement ring is on your mind, come into Medawar Jewelers courses and let our professional staff explain to you all about natural and lab-created diamonds. Our diamonds are set by master jewelers whose passion for their art shows so clearly in each and every piece. So, for that perfect gift that's on her Christmas list, come into Meadowars by the Lansing Mall, by Meridian Mall, in Jackson and in Portage, and we'll help you find it.
Meadowar Jewelers.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis. It is time now for our interview of the week, brought to you by our friends at Hopcat, best damn beer bar, great world-famous Cosmic Fries, formerly known as Crack Fries, which I think is the better name for them, award-winning burgers, including the Peyton Thorne Burger, and carefully curated craft beer from local partners at every single Hopcat. Go to hopcat.com to find the Hopcat nearest you. East Lansing, Indianapolis, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, you name it. There's a Hopcat in your neck of the woods. Very pleased now to be joined by the great Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic, senior writer there. Covers football entirely these days, and, as he says, offensive line enthusiast, which makes me think that right now, watching the Lions in Michigan, you must have like your hair rising on your arms as you're watching those two teams play.
Yeah, the last 2 or 3 years have been accidentally really cool here. I don't know. I don't think anybody planned for that. And I think it just sort of happened. It used to be I remember it wasn't that long ago that I was like, man, getting to cover Frank Ragnow was really cool because I think he's one of the best 2 or 3 centers in the NFL. And then, they draft Sewell. Michigan's offensive line takes off. Michigan State flirted with the decent offensive line there for a while. It seemed like Graham, and we'll see on that one. But hey, this is Michigan, so I think that the state of Michigan football, it's offensive line play, so it fits.
How real are the Lions right now? How real is what we're watching?
Well, I think it's I think it's real. I think it's the question would be is if you went back and sort of did it again, how many of those games maybe in the early part of the season would be different, or would anything change at all? I think this was just sort of part of their story. I think this is how they had progressed. I think that they had to go through the real bad low to force themselves to maybe do some things they didn't really think about when the season started. I mean, make no mistake. I mean, the Lions had huge mistakes early this year that they had to correct. Hard decisions. Firing Aubrey Pleasant wasn't anything anybody, I think, looks back fondly on. And at the end of the day, I think that they would even tell you it's probably a net negative, but something had to change. That's how bad it got. But, I mean, you give them credit for, picking everything up and kind of pushing forward. But I think that what this has done is it's shown people that Brad Holmes has drafted really well. I think he's drafted really well the last 2 years for the most part. And, what we've seen on, every week in terms of the effort that they give Dan Campbell is pretty sustainable. So, I think it's real. I think that they're I don't know if they'll get in this year. I don't know if, they'll have enough to finish off whatever. But I think that they're now in a situation with the 2 picks. They're in the first round. They got great draft capital. I think it's the second best draft situation in the NFL in terms of just pure capital right now. And then they're going to have some money to spend for the first time in a minute in free agency if they want to. I think they're in a good position to go into next season with a roster that's ready to contend, which was originally, I think, what we all sort of said. That had better be the case. And I think that, here we are, and it should be.
So everybody debates the quarterback situation with Jared Goff, and I think he has certainly shown that you don't just discard him without another plan, right? You're paying him anyway. He's under contract for next year. But, there's also the worry that there's a definite ceiling with him, and you don't want the rest of the roster to be ready for more, and you hit that ceiling. And we've seen what happens when you get quarterbacks who are limited in Super Bowls and you get good coaching against them, and they're up against another great quarterback. Sometimes that's a problem. So I'm curious how you would handle this if you were running the Lions.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I would have drafted one last year, somewhere in the second or third. Quite frankly, I think there was enough guys. What we saw with how those guys slid especially. But, that's neither here nor there. I think that right now, Jared Goff is, like you said, Graham, I think he's bought his way basically back to next year. The roster is at a point where it hasn't outgrown him, I don't think, yet. It's not ready for something that he can't deliver. And I think that he's in a good position to, sort of continue the momentum he's built this year. But I would draft a quarterback on day 2. I probably would not wait to day 3. I think the Lions have enough capital, frankly, to where they can almost be in one of those situations where you sort of play the board. And if you've got a guy that you like as a developmental backup who maybe that you like as a guy who maybe can turn into a starter, then, I think that we're going to see how the board shakes up, but sometimes those guys will slide and you can get a deal on them if you're willing to sort of pounce when other teams aren't ready yet. I think if the Lions are that team with that sort of attitude on day 2, then that's where they need to go. I would be very surprised if they don't take a quarterback in this draft. But I said that last time, and they didn't. And I think that as we saw in the preseason and when the year started, that was probably a regret. What a mess, when we look back to Hard Knocks and all that. So I think that they have to do it now. I think that at this point you'd almost be playing with fire, I feel like, or flirting with disaster by, like you said, Graham, asking too much of Jared Goff for too long and not really having any kind of a plan. So far the bridge has been pretty perfect. And I think you can get a little bit more out of it, but I don't think you want to get too far down the road with that.
Yeah, you don't want to ever be the Colts or you don't want to be a team that misses its window,
God.
right? That's the
Colts
problem.
The Colts are like the Exhibit A. Chris Ballard is a good GM. Ed Dawes is a good they have a really good front office, and Irsay lost it. So, yes, it's a great example. You cannot allow yourself, and it's a great lesson, I think, for a lot of places and a lot of young football personnel people. You cannot allow yourself to get into a spot where you have no answers so that your crazy owner comes in and says, well, I'm taking over. I'm taking over now, and now we're doing it my way. Like, you can't – you have to have an answer for that, and sometimes that requires a trade when you maybe don't want to do that. Sometimes it requires things that aren't always easy in the moment, but you have to do it, and I think that the time for that is right now for Detroit. Yeah,
to me, eventually, because you have a finite amount of time before you're in salary cap hell almost in every situation, you eventually have to have a quarterback who can win games when you're not as good. You eventually need to have a top 5 to 7 guy, and you need to keep trying until you do, because you can win one Super Bowl when it all comes together, which in Detroit, look, they've never won one, so you win one, everybody's thrilled. I'm not, but you don't want to be the Chicago Cubs. That's my thing. Like, you don't want to be the team that gets there, has the moment, and then, that's it for a long time because you didn't have the right position. So it is. You talk about the playoffs this year, and obviously, let's just talk about this week. What you? It is weird them being favored on the road in December. I don't even know how to do it. I bet the Jets heavy last week because I was like, you know what? I'd rather lose this bet, but I feel like if I bet the Jets heavy, I'm going to play where my head has been for the last decade. Yeah, and this is the game they lose.
That felt right. Yes, it did feel like the game they lost, and they won it the exact opposite way.
Yes,
that you would have expected them. But now here's the interesting part. You mentioned the Carolina game, and Carolina is sort of in the situation that I think the Lions have been in a few times over the years, where they're playing for their interim. They're playing for Steve Wilkes. A lot of really young, good young players. I thought they were going to trade everybody, and they didn't. They only traded off McCaffrey. Did they trade off anybody else? I thought they were going to trade off more guys, and they kind of didn't. They kept the core there. They're playing really hard all of a sudden, and so suddenly this is for the Lions, you're no longer the kind of try hard that is going to, that's Carolina. And I think that now this is an interesting test. You kind of flip it around the other way, and it's if you're a playoff team, you handle this game with no problem. It doesn't matter. You're a better team. But if you're still, going through the bumps and whatever, you can get got by a team like this. No problem in the NFL. And I think it's a sneak. All these games, even the Bears game, the Bears had the Lions beat. They're all going to be a challenge here coming up, and it's still a team that I think is right on that edge. And it's hard to guess. It's hard to guess if they'll make it all the way, but I think they could even win out and still not make it. So
I know that's the thing. Sure. I can just see everybody being pissed off because the Eagles and Cowboys aren't playing their guys. I don't think any of us realized how bad that Jacksonville result was for the Lions against last week against the Cowboys. Yeah. Because if the Cowboys have been playing the Eagles this week, to draw them within a game. So the whole time that the Eagles had to keep playing their guys after that, maybe you got something. Yeah, it was. Anyway, that was it was. I can just feel the last week. It'll be watching them try to beat Brett Favre. Meanwhile, meanwhile they need some team that's playing 16 backups to win another game, and it's going to drive people mad entirely. Want to ask you about Michigan and what you think their chances are in this postseason. First of all, let's start with the TCU matchup. Mm-hmm. What do you think of it?
Well, I mean, I think that it's certainly interesting. TCU is a really well-coached team that is really hard to defend, and Max Duggan is, I would say, probably the toughest quarterback in the country, if not, on the top 2 or 3. I mean, this guy, he's one of these, like the senior point guard of quarterbacks, more or less. Just if they need, I wrote a little bit today, like if they need 5 yards, and he's going to give you his soul to get them. I mean, that's just how this guy plays. I don't know what to make of him long term, but I mean, in the moment, he reminds me a lot of actually a more athletic Cade McNamara. I think he's a really smart kid who knows where to go with the ball. The accuracy isn't always there, but if he misses one, he's not afraid to go take another shot. TCU has terrific weapons on the outside. I think they'll be able to score some points on Michigan, but I don't think they'll be able to stop the run game. And that's the long-term, that's the end-all, be-all result. They play that 3-3-5. They're pretty undersized. They tackle really well, but TCU has not seen a run game like Michigan. So that would be my guess, is that Michigan will be able to, grind that thing out. But I think that'll be a pretty hotly contested game just because how Michigan plays. I think they're not going to change their style. And I think it'll probably keep the door open for TCU to a degree, and we'll see if they can take advantage of it.
If they, from what you studied from Georgia, if Michigan gets beyond that game, how are they better equipped than they were a year ago?
Yeah, I think they're much closer than they were last year at this time. And I think Georgia, obviously, I'm not sure Georgia's as good as it was a year ago at this time, although it's negligible. They're still outstanding, of course, and elite, the best team left in this group. But I do think Michigan is closer. I don't know if they'd win the game. I'm not sure that it would be much closer than 10 or 2 scores, but I think that they would be able to give them more of a fight. Whereas last year you kind of knew they had no chance. This year, I think Michigan and Ohio State both have opportunities against Georgia. I think Ohio State actually has some matchups for them that could be a problem. I mean, there's a lot of talent on that team. Not out of the realm of Graham that we see Michigan, Ohio State, too, in the final. I don't know why, and that's the other thing. I don't know why Michigan fans were so, I don't want to see Ohio State in the semis, because I frankly think that game would go the same way that it did in Columbus. But, I don't know. That's why they play them, right? I guess we'll see.
It's just because you ought to be – I mean, here's the problem with the way the playoffs set. I mean, I get it, but you'd ought to be able to enjoy that game, right? You've earned –
yes, okay, that's fair. Yes, I like that. That's fair. That's a good way to look at it.
Like if Michigan State beat Michigan last year and that had to turn around and play them in some game, and they'd be like, what the hell is this?
Right.
That's
a good point. Yeah.
It's sort of like the first game in basketball season when somebody wants to claim bragging rights. You're like, wait a sec, they play in 2 weeks? Oh shoot, never mind. I'll pipe
Hold
down.
on.
Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't.
Right.
So Michigan State's program is. I think this has been an incredibly difficult time for Michigan State fans, and I can feel it in our listeners and on my Twitter timeline, and just how, I mean, they are terrified of Michigan winning a national championship, and Michigan fans are letting them know that there's a gap between the two right now, which there is.
Right.
And you look at this Mel Tucker recruiting class, and there's some talent. There's a number of 4 stars. You're talking almost double-digit 4 stars here, but not a huge class. There's certainly some momentum waned from what they had going last summer. What is your and I know you don't cover the ins and outs of recruiting anymore, but what is your sense of what they need to get to, most importantly, as a program, the type of players they need to be adding to get themselves to maybe not next year, but 2024, where they're in the game, so to speak?
I think that what they're doing right now is just more of it. And I think that that's sort of – and I think that Tucker has smartly sort of not made it they don't really – I mean, they do compete for players, Michigan and Michigan State, of course. I'm not going to say that they don't. They always do. but he hasn't necessarily made it his end-all, be-all. I mean, he's had other avenues to go get guys. I mean, he's been creative with recruiting, just like D'Antonio had to be over the years and everybody else. But you do have to win those battles when it comes right down to it at the end of the day. And I think that, the concern there on the Michigan State side, what would happen if Michigan won a national title? My reply to you on that, Graham, would be, if I'm a Michigan fan, my concern would be, is Michigan in a position to take advantage of that? Are they in a position as a staff to take advantage of that in recruiting? We haven't seen a huge win, a huge, like, oh my God, the 5 stars lining up. So I think if you're Michigan State right now, last year hurt them in terms of like the fans, in terms of their expectation for how this works, because I think it was a mirage in that it allowed people to forget how bad it had gotten under Mark Antonio. That was horrible. It had rotted all the way out. It was as bad as it looked, and maybe worse. I don't think people ever really fully embraced that and I understand it, because Antonio had given them so much. But it was bad, and it needed a full-on rebuild. They got lightning in a bottle. That should not be, with Kenneth Walker and some of those guys, that should not be the expectation for how this goes. You have to build this thing kind of the way they're doing it, and just sort of, that's why they paid him that long-term deal, of course. That's the appeal of it, is you have to stack classes, and you have to hope that you can someday get to a point where, kind of like Michigan is right now, where you're using the transfer portal to strengthen and not to save yourself. And you can't be resetting every year in the portal, because that's like a college basketball team that's just all transfers. They're all JUCO kids or whatever, a mid-major that's just trying to catch the right mix at the right time. It's so hard. It's so hard in a sport like that. It's even harder in football. So they're not there. I like what Mel does with recruiting. I think that he is open to literally everything. I think that's smart, but it's just going to take a while. I think that that's the biggest message, and it's hard for people to grasp that, but it is. I mean, their depth in the lines isn't where it needs to be, and that is still an ongoing process.
I mean, the thing that saved them pretty late in the D'Antonio era is they had really great defensive line play, interior defensive line play. They could stop the run, right? And it was, and they just they don't have an identity. They don't have anything that they can really hang their hat on right now to the degree they had even in those sort of. And they had it with Kenneth Walker in that line for a minute. You did have something, right. And so unless you're going to. Most of the time, you're not going to have Kenneth Walker, who might be the best running back in pro football this year when healthy, too. I mean, like that guy. That guy was just he was.
I mean, he's been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's a special player, and I think that. But that's like, and I'm glad for you're glad if you're looking at it this way, that Mel Tucker was able to show the people at Michigan State what he can do in those moments. I mean, he's a good coach. I think he's a good coach in games when things are sort of comparable, whatever. I think that he has what it takes to do the things that he says he can do. The problem becomes you can't just manufacture a football team from nothing every other year. It has to be sustained year over year, and that, unfortunately, requires time that people just don't really like to think about, but that's the reality of it.
Well, there are a couple things he's got going. One, the people who matter in terms of decisions are all on his side still. I think they understand what's happening, number one. And I do think in the contract marries him to Michigan State regardless.
Exactly.
It's not
you have to.
And then the other thing, and I've said this, is if the worst thing that could have happened to Michigan State was if he had left and I don't know how serious that was.
I agree.
Because the next poor sap would have had this same roster, and people would have looked at Mel Tucker as this Greek god somewhere, and this next guy would have had no fan support. Everybody would have been pissed off already, thinking they had blown their chance, that Nick Saban had happened to them twice. And so, going through it with him is better than going through it with somebody else. Well, Nick, I appreciate you, man. Have a great Christmas, and look forward to reading stuff.
All right, man. Take care.
That is the great Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic. Covers mostly the NFL draft these days, and does great. Just understands football at a level most writers, including myself, do not. And that is our Hopcat interview of the week. One of the cool things going on at Hopcat right now, if you're looking for a stocking stuffer or a late gift, if you buy $30 in gift cards, you receive a $10 bonus gift card. So you can do the math, and if you like Hopcat and you you can get some free money out of that, right? You buy $3,000 worth of gift cards. That's $1,000 worth of Hopcat gift cards free. Go to hopcat.com to pick those up. Jason, anything you take away from that?
Well, you lost me at math with that live read.
Okay.
As soon as I have to do that.
Sorry.
I just like the notion that we have to, I know Kyle Meinke tweeted out today that Lions owner Sheila Hamp was right about Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Are we really there yet?
Yeah, we're not.
No, right? I mean, when they were 1-6, this duo had a, career of 4 wins total. It's okay. I don't know if we have to give Sheila Hamp
do something
credit.
Do something that Wayne Fonts didn't do before we give you all the credit.
Right. Because
That's
you
sort of
really
my
had
thing.
no other
Yeah.
option but to stand behind your guys at 1-6 and say, we're going to get this thing working. No one saw this coming.
Yeah.
So,
And there might be other coaches who could do this. I mean, I think he's done a nice job. I'm not going to – yeah, of course
I
he's done a
love
nice
these
job.
guys.
Yeah.
I'm just saying everyone has to understand.
Right.
I'm talking about bandwagon fans. I mean, kiss my ass. We should take any fans that are willing to jump over. I mean, why do you have to be a miserable Lions fan for all those years? I did it. I don't recommend it to anyone else. So if you want to all of a sudden now pay attention to the Lions, good for you. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone.
Look, at this point, the Lions should take any fan who wants to come and join.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. I like repeating you. My best takes are just jumping on your bandwagon. So that's where that is. All right.
I feel honored.
Yeah, let's take another quick break. We come back. Harry Gagnon will pick the games, including the Lions game and some college football bowl games, including the semifinals. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 and Cask & Company.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to the best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts. Guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Michigan. Hopcat is proud to be an official supporter of Peyton Thorne. Show your Spartan pride by ordering the iconic Peyton Thorne burger, created by the man himself. And don't forget about Spartan basketball. Hopcat is your pre-game headquarters for basketball all season long. Catch the game at any of our locations: East Lansing, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, and Holland. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit www.hopcat.com.
Find our live stream, podcast archives, as well as show, affiliate, and sponsorship information at our website, spotlightmediastudios.com.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, and also our Tuesday night show brought to you by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. It is now time to pick the games, presented by Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app with the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, bestbetcorner.com, and extrapoints.com. Harry, how you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? How's everything?
I'm doing well. I heard, I was listening to a podcast, Bill Simmons' podcast the other day with Cousin Sal, and he talked about they were going to do something where you're like hung upside down and they're going to be feeding you drinks. Or I missed part of it. Do you know what's going on there? Are you safe?
I don't know exactly what's going on. I will say that I'll promote what they're talking about in a second, but I'm not doing anything for Simmons unless he pays me. Put it that way.
I got
He
you.
needs to pay me. He's got plenty of money. He can pay me. Right?
He's got $100 million. Yeah, he can break you off a little bit.
That sounds absolutely fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah. So what we are doing, we're hitting the road. Extra Points Live Prop Palooza, it's called. All Extra Points talent will appear for a meet and greet and a live podcast at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club, guys, in Las Vegas. So anyone in the Michigan area that happens to be in Vegas this time, come on over, meet us. It's a meet and greet live podcast, like I said, at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club in Las Vegas, Monday, January 9th from 2 to 3:30, and then immediately after, everyone's encouraged to stop and watch the College Football National Championship with us afterwards. That's Extra Points Live Propapalooza. Tickets are on sale right now at Ticketmaster and Vegas.com. Plus, we'll also be doing a watch party at the Kimmel Comedy Club the day before, Sunday. Watch all the Week 18 games with us from 10 to 4:30. It's going to be a blast in Vegas.
Shit, I need to hit a parlay so I can go to this.
Sounds amazing. Yeah.
Come on, guys.
I would caution you to be careful, though. It did sound like Cousin Sal's plans for you sounded about something upside down with lots of beverages going in you and maybe your shirt off. So I would just
he wants like a human pinata of some sort.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah, it's a
wow. Simmons wants part of that. He can pay me.
Okay.
Simmons and Cousin Sal have a lot of money.
Right.
They need to break you off.
All right.
Correct, boys.
All right. Well, let's dig into some of these games. Let's do some college football first, if you guys are good.
Yep.
So I don't want to do the whole bowl schedule. We're just gonna do like 5 games, big games I think people will care about, and if you've got interested, might be worth betting. Let's start with the Gator Bowl. South Carolina versus Notre Dame. This one is on. Shoot, I have the wrong date here. December 30th this year. 3:30 p.m. on ESPN, and South Carolina plus 2.5 at Notre Dame. I kind of like South Carolina here. I'll be honest. Like, I like teams that when they get to bowl season, their program feels like it's on the up. They're playing for something because they look like they're going to next year feeling like they're going to be a team. Like the way they finished this year, I like South Carolina here. I'm not sure if this game was played in the regular season if I'd feel the same way. Notre Dame has a couple results that scare me, but I like this as I like the 2.5. I might buy it to 3. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, Notre Dame wasn't very good against the spread. 6-6 against the spread this year. I kind of like the money line in South Carolina as well, Harry. But give me the 2.5. We got
interesting. South Carolina had a nice season, nice way to finish. Big game, put up 63 against Tennessee. But I'm leaning a little here towards the Irish guys. Non-conference wise, they played USC, they played Ohio State, played them both tough. I'm going to lean towards the Irish here.
Okay, well, there goes that bet. Not doing that against Harry. Note.
Don't love it, Graham.
I'm holding firm.
Don't love it.
Yeah, still, it's enough. I don't know that I loved it anyway. All right, next game, and this one, I really do have I do like, and it's Kansas State plus 6 at Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, and that's at noon on December 31st. I love Alabama here. And I know Kansas State has been plucky and really good, and Alabama has not been good. But what I love about Alabama is nobody's opting out, so you're getting the full Bama experience. Final game for an NFL quarterback, an NFL top college football defender, and Will Anderson. Like lots of this feels like and this is not an Alabama team like the one that throttled Michigan State a decade ago in a game similar to this. A little bit off the radar. But to me, under a touchdown, I like it a lot. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I'm on Kansas State because it's 6.5. Give me Kansas State. Who we got, Harry?
Yeah, Graham, the way you led into that, I could have swore in my mind, I'm like, Graham loves Kansas State, but no, you like Alabama.
I do.
Look, more than anything, I want to see Saban get smacked in the mouth. Listen, I love the way Kansas State played down the stretch. I'm not even. You made good points about Bama, Graham. I just don't know how much their head's going to be into this type of game. They're not accustomed to having to play this early, and with not much on the line. I'll tell you what, their running back, Kansas State, the Wildcats' running back, Deuce Vaughn, is going to go nuts. I'm telling you, when you see prop bets for player props in this game, I'm telling you, rushing yards, receiving yards, the guy does it all. He's going to smoke the Alabama defense, which really hasn't been that great of a defense all year. Deuce Vaughn, everything that you can find on him, over on prop bets, and I'm taking the Wildcats for the points, even a sprinkle on the money line.
Ooh, okay. Well, and I kind of that, yeah. Okay, not doing that bet either. Rose Bowl. This game I love. This game is why I love the expanded playoff. Like, I think these are two really good teams right now. Number 8 Utah, number 11 Penn State, 5 o'clock, the Rose Bowl game, January second this year because the NFL took up January 1st. I love that the college football just like, yeah, we'll move for you. Don't worry. Wait. Sorry, I lost my lines here. I apologize. This one is. I lost the line. I don't know what happened to the line. I deleted the line. Do we have a line?
Utah -2.
Utah -2. Oh, here we go. I just deleted the line. I'm so bad at this, guys. Utah -2 versus Penn State. Two really good teams. I like Utah a lot, and I've watched them play several times lately. As much as I like Penn State, I think this is going to be a terrific game. But give me Utah -2 inside of 3. I'll take it. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, Utah has fucked me this season, but this isn't a spite bet. I'm telling you, Harry. I love Cam Rising, Clifford. They have the same stats if you look at their stats for the season, but you got to sprinkle in that James Franklin factor. But even with all of that, give me Penn State with the points we got.
Yeah, good point, Jay, there. You got two really decent college quarterbacks going head-to-head here, but I'm leaning towards the Utes. I mean, they just looked more than in that Pac-12 championship game against USC. They looked really good, but, I mean, more than that, they were just so fast. I think they're going to be too fast for the Nittany Lions. I'm going to take Utah here.
All right. TCU, Michigan. TCU +8 versus Michigan. It's a juicy line. They're trying to entice you. I think a lot of people think Michigan's the better team, but you get it over a touchdown and it gets a little interesting. Michigan's been pulling away from people in the second half. There's a part of me that feels like as well as TCU plays people, as well as they come back, there's something's got to give, right? TCU's been really great at coming back. Michigan's been great in the second half. 8 feels like too much for me to love this for Michigan, but I still like it for Michigan. I'm not going to play it. It's a few too many points for that, but I'm on the Wolverines. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, this is open at 9.5, and I think it's 8.5 in some books, but it's just too many points for me. I think if TCU can score on their first drive or something like that and shock Michigan, just 8 and a hook is too much. So give me TCU and the points. I think Michigan wins the game, but give me TCU and the points. We got Harry.
Yeah, if you guys remember last year in these playoff games, Michigan and Cincinnati both looked like they were a deer caught in the headlights. They just looked like they were happy to be there and didn't show their best. I don't think we're going to see that from TCU this year against Michigan. I love Max Duggan. I think he's a fantastic quarterback. I think he's able to keep it close. Jay, I'm with you. I agree with you. I think this is a close game. I'm going to take the 8, but Michigan pulls this game out.
Ohio State +6.5 versus Georgia in the other semifinal. This is one of those games where I might take Georgia on one side and sprinkle on the Ohio State money line on the other, because I really have no idea what Ohio State's going to look like, whether they had their soul stolen from them against Michigan, whether they are the team that I think they can be. C.J. Stroud, this is a big moment for him. He has not been in a lot of huge games, and when he has not looked great all the time, and so I want to see Ohio State respond. I think they have the talent to win this game, but inside of a touchdown, I'm going to take Georgia for our purposes here. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, this line is throwing me off. It's a fade as of right now as far as me betting actual money on it. But for this contest, Harry, give me Georgia -6 in the hook, but I don't like it. Talk me out of this.
Yeah. You know what? I think Kirby Smart's the best coach in college football. Stetson Bennett, all he does is win games. But something about Ohio State getting a second chance here after getting throttled in the second half against Michigan at home in the shoe. I just think I'm going to take the 6.5 here. I kind of think Georgia wins this game. I think we're going to see 2 great games that day on New Year's Eve. And I think Ohio State can definitely win this game too, but I'm just going to take the points. I think Georgia wins, but I'm taking the 6.5.
Yeah, it's one of those games that I'm just looking forward to seeing it. I don't need to be invested.
You guys covering Big Ten all the time. I mean, if Georgia did if this game's a rout, if Georgia wins this game 40-17, would you be surprised that Ohio State got rolled again?
No.
I mean, I kind of would.
Okay. Well, see, and that's the thing. I don't know where Ohio State is headspace wise.
Right.
I don't know. We have not seen what is Ohio State when Ohio State gets hit in the mouth, and not many teams can do it. But Michigan's done it in the last couple of years, and we've seen the response. Georgia's capable of that, right? So what happens if it happens again? I don't know. I don't trust it. I also think I don't think Georgia's as good as they were a year ago. I think there's a chance that Ohio State's going to be fine, and this thing could be a shootout, and Ohio State could be every bit as good as them. So I mean, everything's on the on the table. All right, let's do some NFL games. There is a we'll just go right to the Lions game because it's the game of the year.
Yeah, the Lions, baby.
Yeah.
Love them.
They are 2.5-point favorites on the road in December. That's modern Detroit Lions football at Carolina. Panthers still sort of playing for something. Last week was not a great showing, losing to the Steelers at home. But beat the Seahawks on the road a week before that. Beat the Broncos handily before that. They've had a horrible result against the Ravens. I don't know what to make of them. But I know they're still, at least as good in the last week, playing fairly inspired football. I bet against the Lions last week. It was enough what I saw to think they've turned over a new leaf inside of 3 points. I'm going to take the Lions this week. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I'm seeing sharp money coming in on the Panthers, and I don't like that. But I can't go against the Lions. I might fade it for real money, but in this contest, give me the Lions. What you got, Harry?
Guys, I've been all over your Lions. I hope the community's back in this team.
Oh, they're back.
Oh, that's good. That's good because they're something else. I mean, that was a nice, gutsy fourth down call to your backup tight end right. Gets the job done, gets in the end zone. Listen, this Lions team is rolling. I cannot see Sam Darnold blocking this Lions team from their charge of making the playoffs. I'm all over Detroit.
Oh, man. If they win this week and it's just the Bears and Packers away from the playoff, it's gonna get nuts around here. Okay, Seattle plus 9.5, and all these a lot of these games have something to do with the Lions. You'll notice Seattle plus 9.5 at the Chiefs. Chiefs never cover. They never. Well, I guess I don't know if they covered last week or not. I don't forget. No, there was 14, and they went overtime.
No,
they never cover.
Close.
They're not. They don't dominate people when you think they're supposed to. And I'm done taking the Chiefs on the spread. I don't even trust them on the money line is a guarantee in parlays anymore, the way things have gone. It's going to be interesting because I think Kenneth Walker is going to be a little healthier for this game. He was not. He came back on short rest, and so they've had some extra time this week. I like the Seahawks inside of 9.5. I think they'll be able to run the football. I think they'll be okay. The Chiefs probably going to win the game, but give me the Seahawks here. Jason, where are you?
I don't like it because the Seahawks are ass, but that's just 9.5. I've been buying or taking the points all season long, and it's kind of worked a little bit. So give me the Seahawks plus the points. We got Harry.
Yeah, I don't trust Kansas City. I just don't. Last week had to go to overtime to beat Houston. The week before, blew a 27-0 lead. Mahomes had 3 picks against Denver and didn't cover. I'll ride with Geno here, and I'm going to take that big number.
Yeah, I don't know if Seattle can get back to what they were, but I think a big part of losing what they did was the Kenneth Walker injury. And so if he's back, and he's had 10 days now since last time, I think that makes a difference and makes gives them a shot.
Giants Vikings.
Yeah, I screwed this up again. I keep deleting things that aren't even Giants plus 3.5 at Vikings.
What are you, Hunter Biden over there?
Yeah, so that's Giants plus 3.5 at Vikings. The Vikings, weird team. Giants, though, right now, I think are a little possessed. And look, the Vikings on the year are, I think, plus 2 points over their opponents, despite their record. So in this single game being plus 3.5, you give me more than a field goal on a fast track indoors. The way Saquon's playing, I think the Giants defense will keep this close. I like the Giants plus 3.5. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I'm with you. This opened at 5. Now it's 3.5. I really like that just because I think the Vikings, I know they came back last week, but sometimes it takes a lot out of you for the next week. So give me the points. A 3 and a hook. What do you got, Harry?
How about my boy, Kirk Cousins? Captain comeback, baby. That was something else. But you know what? I think this is a 3-point game. Either way, I don't know, so I will take the 3.5. Barkley is back. What a game he had against Washington with the spin moves. He was fantastic. I'm going to take the Giants with a 3 in the hook.
Commanders plus 7 at the 49ers. The thing that scares me about the 49ers is they're in a situation where not a lot of their games are going to matter anymore. And so that concerns me. Not completely yet, maybe. And how do the Commanders get off the mat after last week? I think the 49ers have separated themselves as one of the top few teams in football. So it's a lot of points, but I'm going to take the 49ers here. I think they win this game by more than a touchdown. Jason, where are you?
See, I don't buy that, the guys might not try because of certain records or something like that. I mean, these guys have incentives in their contract. I like the 49ers a lot. I guess if you could throw this in a tease, too, to maybe get it under that 7 number, but I still like it. I like the 49ers. So you got Harry?
Yeah, I do too. I mean, the 49ers could still, if things worked out, they could still be the 2 seed. They look so good right now. Washington's offense is shaky. I don't know how they're going to come out after last week too. They really. I mean, I'm a Giants fan, but what a screw job they got by the referees late. They really did.
It was brutal.
And San Francisco just looks. Even Purdy looks great, and the whole team, the whole team's clicking. I can't go against San Fran right now.
All right, last game. Eagles +5 at Cowboys, and I would urge people to double check on the Jalen Hurts status before they make a confident play one way or another here. I think they hold Hurts out, and I think there is a sense that, I mean, and it's almost a put down of the Cowboys. Like if you're the Eagles, if you hold Hurts out, you don't have to win this game. You've still got the lead because they screwed it up against the Jaguars, and now you've been able to rest your quarterback. If Hurts doesn't play, I like the Cowboys in this game by more than a touchdown. Give me the Cowboys here. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I'm with you. The 5.5, kind of a weird number, but I think the Cowboys finally get shit together. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars loss, was that terrible? Yeah, but the Jags are playing great football. Give me the Cowboys, -4 and a hook. What do you got, Harry?
Well, you know what? I'm taking the Eagles. I think they're a much better team. Dak's overrated. And if Minshew has to go, I'll tell you what. Minshew Magic. He's played 23 of 30 games in his career for Jacksonville. Not a great franchise. You know what this guy's plus-minus touchdown to interception ratio is in his career? Take a guess, guys. Take a guess.
2 to 1.
Yeah.
41 total touchdowns to 12 picks.
Wow.
Pretty good.
And he might do it for Coach Leach, too.
Yeah.
There's that factor.
I didn't. Yeah.
The Pirate.
Yeah, good point.
That's Harry. You bring
Does that
you bring
silence
the
us
knowledge.
going to our websites and betting?
Yeah. No.
Perhaps.
So, Harry, before we go, I want to float something by you here.
Mm-hmm.
Premier League is back on Boxing Day in the week. Starting the week after Christmas. In my household, we celebrate Boxing Day.
Of course,
being British and all. I lost a lot on the World Cup. I didn't know enough, and I bet too much, and I got excited. And Spain.
Can I ask you something real quick before we continue, Grant?
Yeah.
Being a true soccer fan that you are, how great was that game?
Oh, it was the best.
How unbelievable! You never have the drama. We have drama in NFL every single week. It could be the worst teams. It could be the best teams. But what we had in the World Cup final, 2-0, and then all of a sudden, before you even blink an eye, it's 2-2, and then Mbappe's got 3 goals, and they tie it, and it was unbelievable for soccer, unbelievable.
And the thing that was that I felt good about is I knew there were a lot of people watching that had sort of tuned into the World Cup that were maybe paying attention intently for the first time in a while,
right.
And you feel like that delivered, that really delivered, and I felt
even Jason had to be impressed, right, Graham? Come on, Jay.
I didn't watch. I'm happy for you soccer nerds. It's great. Good for you.
All right,
it was amazing.
Harry,
Graham, it was amazing.
It was outstanding. And back today, I was on Monday I was back betting on the England Championship Second Division, and today I was betting on the EFL Cup. It's great. I'm all the way back in. But this coming week, I want to run this by you because I like this, and I think our listeners will like it too. And there's a little bit of you want to be careful. Teams haven't played in a while. There's a little bit of but some of these teams are playing this week in Cup and other actions. But I like a heavy favorite 3-team parlay. Chelsea at home against Bournemouth, -330. Man United at home against Nottingham Forest, -330. And Man City on the road at Leeds, -340. It's at +119 on the Firekeeper's iCasino and Sportsbook app. That to me is a really, look, Chelsea screwed me before, but I like them at home against Bournemouth. I like Man United at home. The one that actually scares me a little bit is Man City getting their mojo back at Leeds, but I don't know. That to me feels like a really nice ease yourself back in with heavy favorites parlay for Premier League soccer.
Buddy of mine who really loves. Buddy of mine who's a Newcastle fan loves them this week. Loves them against Leicester City.
Okay, that's good information. That's good information. I will.
He wouldn't tell. Sometimes when he tells me they're no good, he'll tell me they're no good. So he's not just a homer all the time. So he told me Newcastle's to play this week against Leicester City.
I will ride with your buddy. Harry, you have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas, and look forward to talking early in the new year. And we'll do that one more time before they string you up as a piñata in Los Angeles.
Sounds great, guys. Take care.
Right. Thanks, Harry.
Happy holiday.
You too. It's the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, bestbetcorner.com and extrapoints.com. We appreciate all of you. We appreciate Nick Baumgardner joining us and his knowledge on the Lions and Michigan State and Michigan. And thanks, of course, to our friends at Firekeepers and Skymint and Cask & Company in Front 43. Outstanding place to watch the games. And need to get a break from your family over the holidays. Skymint, Cask & Company. It's a good duo. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
We'll talk to you Thursday. Couch in the Roof.